right.
Well,
Here we go. We are going live
too.
now. All right. Hi. Hopefully everybody can see us and hear us this morning. Good morning. Happy Tuesday to everybody. I have got Jen DuFore here, and I am so excited. We're going to be diving into Instagram today. As you guys are joining us, please say hi. Let Jen know where you're at in your Instagram journey. I am Coach Kelsa. Many of you know me already if you have been in this group for a while. I am the owner and financial coach behind Fiscal Fitness Phoenix, and the creator of this group, Financial Coaches Unite. I also have the training course, Financial Coach Academy, and the Financial Coaching Symposium, the 2-day event each year for financial coaches. I will tell you that my journey with Instagram is a big fat goose egg. So I do not use it for anything except sharing really cute pictures of my adorable children. So if for some reason you want to see pictures of my cute children, you should follow me on Instagram. If you're actually looking for business strategy on Instagram, that's why I've invited Jen to come on today, because I am not one to be able to talk about that. So let me start really quickly before we have Jen introduce herself and tell her why she's the expert we chose today. I'm going to give you a bit of an overview of what you can expect. Okay, so we're going to first start with Jen giving you a little bit of information about herself so you know who you're learning from. We're going to go into some general Instagram knowledge. So for those of you who are like me, who know next to nothing, that's totally fine. We're going to start a bit general, some pros and cons, that kind of thing. How to get started is where we'll go next. So after you learn the general information, if you're like, hey, I want some of that, here's how you're going to get started. How do you build a following? We're going to go in depth on hashtags. We got a ton of questions about hashtags. I guess they're a bit more complicated than just choosing a hashtag that you think sounds funny. I don't know, I guess. So Jen's going to educate us on hashtags. How do you convert your followers? So once you've built your following, how do you actually convert them into clients who hopefully pay you and that kind of thing and convert to clients? And then the process for getting people to follow you. And then we have got a little bit of a miscellaneous section. So, a few things that people ask that don't really fit in any place else. If you have questions, please let us know. And then towards the end, if we have time, we will have Jen answer those questions. But hopefully this itinerary for today is going to tell you everything you want to know and more about Instagram. So Jen, thank you for volunteering to do this. First of all, you were the one that was like, who wants me to do a training on this? Because so many people were asking you questions. They heard you have 72,000 followers on Instagram, and I think everyone's jaw dropped and was like, wait, how did you do that? Please tell more. And so we decided to do this so that everybody can learn from you all at one time. So just give us a little bit of an 411 on you.
Yes. So the long story short, first of all, hi, and thank you for having me. I'm so excited. I became a coach accidentally. It's not what I set out to do, but I've learned a lot along the way because it came about in a different way than like intentionally. So I started years ago sharing pictures of my planner. I have a paper planner. I've always been a paper planner. I need to write things down and cross them off. And I can't totally jive with everything electronic when it comes to my own lists. So I started sharing pictures because a couple of friends asked me to put all my pictures in one place. And then people I didn't know started following. And then they started asking me to share other things. And to make a very long story short, one of those things was my budget process. And so through that, I started sharing more. I was hired to teach some budget classes. I've done, a handful of conference speaking gigs now on budgeting and finance in general. And I've learned a lot about Instagram in the process. Like Kelsa said, I think I'm hovering around 72,000 followers right now.
I looked this morning. You're at like 72,600, by the way. So I think we should round up and say 73, but.
Let's say 73. I'll take it. I'll take the extra couple hundred. And then I know we're not talking about YouTube, but I know we have some YouTubers in the group. I started a YouTube channel kind of in conjunction with my Instagram, and I think I'm right around 30 or 35,000 subscribers to my YouTube channel.
Whoa.
And so,
okay, a video for a whole nother day. Wow, good to know.
Yeah, we can do another one on YouTube. Yeah. But it's great, and I have found that when I see people talking about using Instagram, Kelsey and I talked a little bit about this. There's a hole that I think people are missing that I really wanted to share. And this was the easiest and best way to do it. So I'm really excited to be talking. All things Instagram. And I love helping anybody figure out your Instagram strategy. If you want to post questions, which I know Kelsey will talk a little bit more at the end, I would love to get into that too.
Awesome. Okay. Very cool. And so it's so funny because I feel like so many of us who are considered experts in our area, like it's sort of like we got started very organically, right? Yeah. And then we've had to reverse engineer, like, how in the heck did I do that? You know, which is what we're going to talk about today. So, so give us the pros and cons, general information about Instagram. So who would want to use it? Maybe why? Who's it good for? That kind of thing.
Yes. Okay. So a preface to the answer to that question is my experience has been my experience. I don't think that everyone has to do it the same way that I did it. In fact, I think that would probably be not good to do it the same exact way as somebody else. So I'm sharing really my opinion and my experience. But really at the core, this is how I took what was there and made it work for me. I have learned over many, many, many years of doing this that Instagram is used to connect. And I know, like, we talk a lot about that with Facebook. Facebook has added so many more functions than just being able to connect. Instagram is still really hyper-focused on connecting with other people. And people go to Instagram for so many reasons. They go to learn. They go to escape. They go to be entertained. They go to connect with people that they already know. They go to connect with new people. I find specifically in the budget realm, people are looking to learn. That's a huge part of it. And they're looking to connect because finances, as all of you know, from working with people, there's such a weird stigma around talking about your money that when you find, I don't know if you all remember, I remember this. I remember when I first started learning and I found other people that were like me and, you know, wait a second, you're struggling with this part of your budget too, or you have a debt that you're trying to tackle. Nobody really talks about it. So you can go to a place like Instagram and it makes you feel like you're not alone. It makes you feel like you can see, you know, what other people have done that have worked for them. So it's really a place to connect and learn and sometimes escape. Yeah. I would say a con is that people can tell if you're not, number one, if you're not comfortable on Instagram. So like Kelsey said, I know you've said this you said it on a live the other day. You were like, if you're not feeling it, don't do it. Yeah. It's so true. Yeah. It's so true. I mean, it's nice to have content up, but if it's not your thing, people can tell. Yeah. You can tell when you're comfortable on, you know, same way, you know, if you do Facebook live videos, you can tell if someone's comfortable or not comfortable. So I would say if you're not comfortable, it might not be the space for you yet. That I wouldn't write it off permanently. Yeah. I would say at some point you might find that it is a good way to reach people. But don't feel like, I don't know, it's very, you can feel it. Yeah. If
how would you say it differs from like having a Facebook group or even just a Facebook page, I guess?
Yeah. You know, Facebook is funny. Groups are so interactive. I love groups because I can expand on things. And I have a budget group on Facebook, like many of you. It's a free group. It's not paid. Eventually it will become a feeder group to my own program, but I love having it free for now. Again, it's like one of those, it's not right, it's not wrong, it's just it works for me. And I created it because people on Instagram said, you know, is there a place where you can put this file that you used? Or is there a place that you can talk a little bit more about how you know, did whatever XYZ thing that you did? So I created this group, and I drive people to my group from Instagram and from YouTube. And so the group grew over time. I think the group's at like 17,000 people now. I mean, it's been really wild to me how quickly it has picked up. But I think what that says to me is that people really want it. They want the connection and they want to see not only the value that we can add, but also if you're comfortable, your experience. Like, I love sharing about my own financial path. Not everybody is comfortable with that. I don't share numbers. I'm totally down to share percentages. Some bloggers are really transparent. Some are not. But Facebook groups in particular really give you a chance to go deeper than you can go on Instagram. Instagram's like picture and a blurb. Yeah. Groups, you can really get deeper. Pages, I find I don't use my page a lot because the interaction for me is not there. So I use my page to drive people other places. I want to drive them to my video. I want to drive them to my Instagram post. I want to drive them to the group where I can get a little bit deeper. But it's important to have a catch page so that you can, even if you're not really active on it, you can drive people to the places you want them to go.
That's interesting. I never thought about Instagram as sort of like a lead-in to a Facebook group, but that makes total sense. So I could see us using it for that reason. Just because you're right. I feel like you don't see people having huge dialogue on Instagram.
No,
so not a back and forth conversation. Like, yeah, there's some times where they're commenting back and forth, but it's not super in-depth necessarily.
Exactly.
Interesting. Okay. So give us a quick summary of hashtag. We're going to dive into it deeper, but like, what's the purpose of a hashtag?
Yes. Okay. So I didn't understand for a really long time. The way that hashtag work, there are two ways that hashtags work. Either they can be, well, really three. You can organize your own posts. I created hashtags for my own posts. So I have like Jen Plans Budgeting. And if you click on it, it's all of my budgeting posts. So if you have mixed content, like I don't think I said this in the beginning. I have mixed content. My content is not just budget or finance. It's budget and finance and planning and some recipes and mom stuff. And, I work from home. So like work from home stuff. Mine is kind of a mixed bag. So my engagement varies hugely based on what kind of post I have. But number one is a way to organize your own content. Number two is search. And this is, I don't think this is used quite as much as people think it is. But you can either actively search, like go to the search bar and you type in hashtag personal finance. What I find that more people use is either following a hashtag, and then those posts automatically come up in their feed, even if they're not following that person.
That's what I do. Yeah.
So, yeah, exactly. So, you follow hashtags. And then you can see all of the people that are posting using that hashtag. And then really the third way is kind of like, so the algorithm with Instagram is goofy, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But the other way that Instagram puts content out, because their goal is to maximize the amount of time you're using in the app. They want people to stay there for a really long time. So they want to show you things that you want to see. And so they look at posts that you've either liked, commented on, or viewed. And they find other posts that either have they have like a visual recognition, whatever. I'm not technical, so I don't know whatever the fancy word for that is. And then they also have hashtag, like they find if you liked a post and these are all the hashtags on it in your, like you might be interested in feed, you'll see other posts that have similar hashtags. So you it's a way of grouping your posts in with other ones and saying like, look, I'm posting content that's relevant to this particular topic, so that it pops up for people who might not be following you, who might not have even searched that hashtag, but they know that it's similar to other ones that are there.
So when if I click on someone's profile on Instagram and they have like the different bubbles at the top and they're different themes, let's say, so like for yours, it's budgeting or organization or whatever, those are actually organized by the hashtag that the person used.
Those are actually, if you go to, are you talking about like on a profile, the little circle?
Yes.
Those are story highlights.
Oh, whole nother thing. We're not even getting into that today. So, okay, good to know. I was wondering how those people got those up there.
We'll talk about that another.
Yes.
We'll do another one on
that. Okay. One of the things that you had said that I thought was really important, we wanted to start with this, and you did touch on it, but I just want to make sure everybody heard it, is that if you are not interacting with people on Instagram, you're doing it wrong. The whole point is to connect and to interact. So this is not like a post and then just never look at it, never interact, that kind of thing. So let's dive into how a person should get started with Instagram. So I'm like thinking about it for the first time. I'm overwhelmed with the prospect of it. What do I do?
So usually what happens is people who want to start using Instagram, I've seen them go through, so I've helped a couple people with their Instagram situation. And what I usually see is people Google like how to start an Instagram or how to build my Instagram. And a couple things come up, and it's not that they're not valuable, because they are, but they're not valuable in the way that people think they are. So when you're building out an Instagram strategy, a lot of people start saying things like content buckets and scheduled posts and all of the technical things that are important and they're valuable, but they kind of miss what these articles don't talk about, which really, if I could, like, if there was like, you heard one thing in this video and then you had to go do something else, this would be it.
Okay, good. Let's hear it.
You have to start with content, period. Like your content has to be good. There has to be a reason that someone wants to come to your page, because you could have all the followers in the whole world, and if you're not putting out good content, they're not going to be engaged. They're certainly not going to convert, which at the end of the day, probably most of us, I didn't start this way, but it's a nice side effect that they convert into clients or customers. If you're selling a product, you of course want to convert them into a buyer. But at the end of the day, you have to have good content.
Okay.
So,
what are the different types of content? Types of posts you can use?
Yeah. So you can do posts to your feed. So like if you're totally unfamiliar with Instagram, posts to your feed are like the posts that show up on a grid on your wall.
Okay.
And those are like picture. You can do multiple pictures. You can also post a video up to 60 seconds on your wall. And then you put a little blurb, and then hopefully you put some hashtags at the bottom, and those fill your wall. You can also do stories, which are 15-second video clips. And you can like hold the button down and go up to 60 seconds. It just posts them in 4 separate stories. But those are kind of quicker videos where you can do most of the same things you can do on a wall, but they disappear after 24 hours unless you save them to highlights, which are those little bubbles that you were talking about.
Got it.
If I do I did 15 of them in a row on sinking funds, and then I wanted to save it to a highlight. I got so many messages from people saying, oh my gosh, please save that. Can you put it somewhere? And so I saved it to my highlights. So now people can come back and watch it, and it's organized in one spot.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then really the other DMs, I mean, you can DM people. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but that's kind of the other way to use it.
Got it. Okay. And so you create content, and this is kind of similar, I would say, to like creating a podcast. You really want to have a whole bunch of episodes recorded before you actually launch the podcast. So probably the first thing, based on what you're saying, is to start creating content, create kind of like a whole bunch of them where you're going to drip them out over time. That way you're not just like scrambling, like I got to get something out, and then it feels really uninspired kind of thing.
Yes.
Okay.
And it's so much more important. I don't want to downplay the value of a content bucket or scheduling and any of that stuff because it's important, but those are a tool for you. Like content buckets are a tool for you, and they're a tool for planning to make sure that your content is organized well. But it's kind of like when you go to the Container Store and you buy a bunch of boxes. Like that's not what makes your situation work. You need to think about like, what am I using most? What do I need at my fingertips? What, like there's a process that you go through beforehand. Same thing with Instagram. So you create your content, and you need to think about like, what's interesting to someone? What is a distinctive look? Like if you don't have a brand and a distinctive look, that might be something that you want to think about. If you have a straight up business page, my page is not like that. So I've chosen to not do that yet. If I ever create just a straight up financial coaching Instagram page, then I will probably use it for that. So that's your choice. But be distinctive. You want someone to look at your feed and know that it's you.
Yeah.
For whatever
Yours is like, I would say it is business, but you just add your own personal like lifestyle to it. So you're like, hey, here's how I'm using my budget today, or here's how I'm organizing my grocery list today. So yours is very like real life, and so that's why I don't think it looks too structured or too theme-like. But
absolutely.
But if anything, I would say that is your theme in a way. It is that,
and that's why people have really started to follow, because they feel like, oh my gosh, this is a real person. This isn't some like, oh, I'm an expert and I know what I'm doing. Not that that's bad, because people need at the end of the day, I know that I need to be an authority if someone's going to believe what I say about money.
Absolutely.
But when you're relatable, people feel like they can accomplish it too. And feeling is you all know this because you've worked with people. Feeling is such an important part of this process. Yeah. So that's a big part of it.
What, okay, so you had said one thing that you do is to find others who inspire you, are doing good things that maybe you can kind of emulate, if you will. And I talked about this on that video too. Like, don't follow other financial coaches.
No.
Try to find other like personal trainers or, professional organizers or something that you can follow that maybe, I think one question I always have is like, what's the visual for budgeting, And so how have you made that work for you? What other people have you followed, or professions that you're like, they're turning something that doesn't feel visual and they've made it very visually appealing?
Yes. So I really love infographics. I love quotes. I love, for me, there are a couple ways you can look at posts, and really when we're if we start talking about content buckets, you want education. You want people to learn something that maybe they didn't know before, or to be reminded of something that maybe they knew, but you said it just the right. Have you ever had that moment where someone says something just the right way, and like you knew it, but it clicked when they said it? You want to have moments like that. Certainly you can share pieces of your own story, and if you don't feel comfortable sharing real specifics, that's fine. I don't share my actual numbers, but I do share, like last year we paid off our last student loan. It took ever. I share things like that, and
Yeah.
someone will see that and think like, oh my gosh, I can do that too. So if you have a piece of your journey that you are comfortable sharing, I would say share that. Something that Kelsey, you and I talked about that I think is so important as a barrier. Like, I don't know if you guys as coaches, if you ever sit down and think about what are the barriers of my potential clients, one barrier is that people are just nervous because they don't know how it's going to work, and so they don't pull the trigger. And so pulling the curtain back a little bit and saying like, here's a sample of part of a worksheet that I have my clients fill out, and they see it and they think like, okay, I could see myself taking that step. So pull the curtain back a little bit, share what your process is like. You don't have to give away like all your proprietary, like, here's my whole programs, but certainly for people who are nervous and they're thinking like, okay, I would like to do this, but is it going to be overwhelming? Is it going to take a lot of time? Do I have to be tech savvy? Do I have to take the time to meet someone? Can we do it virtually? How does it work? You could say, hey, I do all my meetings on Zoom and it's great because of whatever, reason.
Emily asked, do you always have a call to action in your post?
Nope.
No,
I do not.
And I would say that's the same
don't.
rule of thumb on any social media platform. I think, like you, I always say like 1 in 10, let's say. So for like every 10 posts, one of them can be like, hey, hire me, or I'm selling to you sort of feeling. I think, use whatever percentages you want for that, but it definitely should not be where every single post, I think, has a call to action on it.
I think there's a dual answer to that, and I agree 100% that you cannot put it on every single one. However, what I will say, so I did some homework, and I looked through, I found a bunch of members of the group who have Instagram accounts, and I went to some Instagram accounts.
Good.
And I found that there were a couple that I couldn't find out how to book a meeting.
Ooh, interesting. So like then they're not doing like anything. They're not, that's the other correct. You've overcorrected.
Exactly.
Yes,
so
okay.
There has got to be, even if you're not putting a call to action in every post, that might be the post that makes someone want to take action. You need to have your link ready to go. So if someone wants to find you or book a call or go to your website, it needs to be there. So we just need to make sure that's a way to have a happy medium so that you know that if you're not trying to sell every single post, you still have a way for someone, maybe that's the post that clicks for them, and now they really want to work with you, but they can't find you.
And I would say too, like a call to action, just to clarify, does not necessarily need to be a selling thing, but it can be like, tell me how you do this, or tell me what struggles you've had, or like share with me in a comment, or hey, DM me your thoughts or something like that. So it can be a call to action in that way.
Absolutely.
To get them interacting. Because again, Instagram is all about the connection and all about interacting.
Yeah,
so
if you can get your followers or non-followers engaged, that's golden.
Yes. Okay, let me just take a look at our notes here. So we'll dig into hashtags a little later. How often do you post?
I don't schedule my posts. And I have never, in the 5 years that I've been on Instagram, had a posting schedule. I sometimes go 4 or 5 days without posting anything. And some days I make 10 posts in a day based on what I'm working on. Is that a good strategy? Maybe for some people, maybe not for other people. If you have a business page, probably not a good strategy. But since mine is kind of a blend, I want mine to kind of reflect my real life. And so I post when I feel like I have something valuable to share. What I really never want to do for me is post something just to post something that doesn't add any value to anybody. That kind of activity doesn't help. I think we think that it helps, but it doesn't really help because people aren't engaging with it.
Yeah, sure. Okay, cool. You had mentioned, asking yourself, why is my approach different and unique? And so what would you say, Jen? I know the answer to this because we talked. But what makes your Instagram different and unique?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was important to me to share the feeling. Like, how do people want to make a change when they have a change in the way that they feel? And so I started really sharing about my journey and how I do things. And I invited people into the practical part because I know, I think you need to ask yourself, what are you really good at and what are you really excited about? Like, I'm not good at forecasting. I don't like forecasting. I don't like doing long-term plans for people. I love and could roll around in daily budgets. Like I could roll around in it. It's my favorite thing. It's my favorite thing.
Ditto.
I know that's, like I know that's what I get excited about. And when I post about it, my followers can tell that I'm excited about it and they want to know how to do it. You create an energy with your posts, and it's not just here's, my thing, so you think about what are you really passionate about and excited about, and people will be able to tell. There's someone in our group who is killing it on Instagram too. Andre, he's the Millennials Next Door. I don't know if any of you follow him. Go check out his.
Yeah, or don't, because you might have like imposter syndrome or something. But also Mandy Thomas is killing it on Instagram too. And this is not to say nobody else is. I'm sure there are others. These are just people that I know are like totally like on my radar for some reason. So, and then just so you know, there's a lot of comments coming in. People are loving the idea that they don't have to post every day, that they don't have to post like, they're appreciating your approach, just so you know. There's some comments coming in about that. So, yes. So how do you attract your ideal client on Instagram? What kinds of ways can a person do that?
Yeah, I think, so here's this cycle, right? We think about what do you want to do most? Those are the things you should be talking about, because those are the people that are going to find you. I want to work with people who are confused about like, okay, I really want to get control of my money. I have the money to work with. Like my ideal client is someone who's really excited to do something. They just don't know how. And I want to be the person that teaches them how, so that they can do it and then feel really good about it. That's my ideal client. And so those are the things that I really focus on. And it doesn't mean that other people won't find me, because I've certainly had plenty of other people find me. But think about the things that you want to help somebody fix, or that you want to help somebody optimize. And those are the things you should be creating content around.
Yeah. And I think it's, Instagram is a good place if the more personal you are, the more people can tell if they're going to connect with you or not.
Yeah.
And if your value systems, are the same or not. I also think, you made the choice to not filter your images. Like you just have very raw images. And so I think you're also, that little decision right there is attracting a certain type of client possibly, so like little decisions like that are absolutely always narrowing it down a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Do you find that the difference between posting an image versus like a live or a story or whatever all those other things are called, the Instagram TV or whatever, do you find that narrow is like marketing to a certain type of niche or
yes and no
characteristic?
I know I sound like a broken record, but it all comes down to what exactly are you trying to share? Because there are plenty of people who post on, they hop on stories and they don't know what they're talking about. They just think they should do it.
Oh my God, that is so frustrating, isn't it? I'm kind of like, what is that? Is there a point to this right now?
Yes. And then what do you do the next time you see a story come up? You're like, I don't think I want to click on that. So have a reason that you're using each of the individual functions of Instagram. If you have something you really want to explain and you feel like you can do a better job talking about it than you can writing about it, that's a great time to hop on stories. If you just think, okay, check the box. Okay. I need to do a stories today. Okay. I'll hop on and I'll talk about, you need to really think about what value are you adding? And are you telling a story? Are you telling a story that someone else would want to hear? Whether it's about you or whether it's about finance or whether it's about the people that are following you.
Okay. And then just really quickly, we're going to go in depth into hashtags in just a little bit. Hashtags are sort of like layered in everything. So we're going to have them all separate. One other thing that you had recommended when someone's deciding to start is to research hashtags. So we're going to talk about why and how and all that in just a little bit. But that is one thing when you're kind of making a checklist, folks, on what do I do to get started? All these things Jen's saying to think through and think about and maybe create content and that kind of thing. One of them should also be research hashtags, and we'll explain what that means in just a little bit. So you do that, you kind of make some decisions around what type of information you're trying to share, what kind of feeling you're trying to create, what type of Instagram feed you want to have. And so then how do you take it from there? So you start, how do you take it from there, and how do you build a following?
Okay, so when
it doesn't just happen? Wait, what do you mean? If I just put pictures out there, don't people just start following me instantly? I thought that's what happened.
Wouldn't that be great?
I wish.
It were just like that. I think if you're a user on Instagram, it's so good to ask yourself, what makes me follow someone? And it's usually a combination of, I feel educated about something, they can add something to my life that I might not already have. Also, people are like voyeuristic by nature, and they want to see what other people are doing. So if you can drop like breadcrumbs of what you're doing, or if you're on a journey, like this is why the Instagrams of people who, like especially people who are on the debt-free journey, you get roped in and you want to see, like, did they pay off that car? Like, did they save that money that they wanted to save? You get like personally invested. So I think, you know, I think a lot of people try really hard to keep things super professional. It's not bad, but when you have people going to Instagram for other reasons than to just see someone's business page, like people don't go to Instagram to be sold. That's not why they're there. They don't go into Instagram thinking, I want to be sold on, you know, whatever. They want to learn. They want to feel inspired. And, you know, it's really, I know I've said this like 10 times already. It goes back to making someone feel a certain way, and you want to make them feel like it's doable. Testimonials, like if you're starting to put together your actual content, please share testimonials, share other words of other people that are not your own words, for people that have benefited from what you're able to do for them.
Yeah. And that's where like you could have just little fragments of the testimonials even, and all of those are on the same color background image, right? So like then when someone looks at it, they're like, the bright blue is always like a testimonial type thing. And it could look very on brand, could look really good and very consistent, you know, all put together kind of thing. You had said, don't message people. So DM. Okay. When you say message, you mean really, DM, right? Direct message.
This is really controversial. Some people are going to totally disagree with me.
Okay, that's all right. You're the expert on this video, so that's fine. They can.
So, you know, part of this is Instagram etiquette. Part of this is selling in general. This is just my opinion. In my opinion, what we do, we want to invite people in. We don't want to sell people. Like, invite people in to the process, invite people into this world where they feel like they have a handle on their money, invite people into this world where they're taking action steps. It's different than selling someone, or especially chasing someone. And as a user, when I get a message, it conveys a couple of things. To me, it feels like I'm being chased, and I don't like being chased. It makes me back off. Maybe other people really like that feeling. They like being pursued, and they like, I don't know, my husband's in sales, and he's like all about, he messages everybody all the time, everywhere. But it's so, for me, maybe it's because I'm an introvert. I don't know. I feel like I'm cornered if someone gets me in a DM. In my opinion, for me, and what has worked really well for me, I mean, I've been teaching classes. I advertise them on Instagram. I know we'll talk about this in a minute. I've had, at this point, it's been more than 2,000 clients in online classes. I mean, I've had a lot of people that I've worked with, and I don't DM anyone. Like, if someone wants to DM me and ask me questions, I will do that all day long. I'll answer any question that anybody has. But I want to invite people in. Hey, come be a part of this. Like, if you're a user, wouldn't you rather have someone say, come be a part of this in a more public setting than, hey, here's my stuff that I offer. Do you want to sign up? There's a different type of feeling. You want to give them the opportunity to work with you.
Yeah, so I just want you to know, you don't have anything to worry about. We have people agreeing with you. So I completely agree with not messaging people. Mandy says she also grew her Facebook group from sharing about it on Instagram and then directing the traffic to her group so she could do more lives and share more info there. Yeah. Emily says, I hate to be messaged like that on LinkedIn. So, oh my God, that's so true too. So I actually think you're right on there. I think it's like giving people every opportunity to sort of take that first step. There is also it's like a commitment level from them. Even taking that first step is hard, but it's also like a really good thing for them to do. Like, I'm going to reach out. I'm going to ask for help. I'm going to take this very first step, which can be a really hard first step for somebody to take. But if we can get them to do that through the feelings that we're conveying and the really great content they're connecting with, then that first step should hopefully be easier for them to take. And it just provides them more confidence for the next step they might have to take after that. Right.
It's true. And I also feel like, I don't know if you all have this experience, but I find that if I have to chase them in their DMs, I'm going to have to chase them to sign the contract. I'm going to have to chase them to get their deposit. I'm going to have to chase them to make an appointment. I'm going to have to chase them to make a follow-up. And I don't have time to chase people.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Right, exactly. Another person says DM selling is icky. Okay, so
yes, thank you. Okay, good.
yeah, you're good. She's like, whew, okay. What about so like interacting with them? You had said like tagging them and asking a question. Give me an example of that. Like when does that happen, or how would a person know to do that?
So there are a couple different ways to do it. I love, some people don't like this. It makes them feel, I don't know if insecure is the right word, but maybe not as quite as confident in what they're doing. But I actually love going to other finance people's posts and engaging. Never, ever, ever to take people to my whatever. But I love writing like, oh, that's so awesome. Like if I read because it pumps me up too. Like if I read a story
Sure.
of somebody else paid off whatever, I love writing like, hey, good job, or that's so inspiring, or, you made my day. And I mean it genuinely. It also might seem less spammy for me because somebody asked what my username is. It's @Jen_plans. So when I'm commenting as Jen Plans, they're not seeing like Jen finance
Budgeter.
coaching,
Budgeting
budgeter.
expert.
I mean, like,
yeah.
that could be I could see how that might be a little spammy. But for me, I love boosting other people. That's like super exciting for me. Or going to another finance, usually finance bloggers
Sure.
thing where they're asking a question and answering. I also really like liking other people's comments. I don't know. It inspires me on my journey too, not separate from coaching. But then I also really like yesterday I posted a picture of my August financial goals. And I said, hey, I just set up my August list. Well, has anyone else started working on their August finance goals? Share yours below. And then all of a sudden I have all these people that are like, I'm doing this. And
oh no. Oh, I just lost Jen. Oh, bummer. Well, we'll give her a minute to join back in here. She must have gotten disconnected somehow. Jen, come join me when you get back on. Hopefully, maybe she lost service or something. So, I think I'm just going to carry this on a little bit because I think one thing that you can do if you are wanting to get into Instagram and you're looking, so what she's talking about is going to other people who are doing good things, commenting on other people's comments and encouraging them, and then they see your name and then they might want to follow you as well. And one thing you can do is think about, where does a person go before they come to you? What is the person's journey before they decide to get out of debt? And Renata just asked about her Instagram ID. We'll share all of that information. Oh, good. Did we get you back? Jen, I can't see your video, so you'll have to turn your video on, okay. I think.
Let's see. Where is my face? Start video.
There you go.
Am I back?
Yeah, you're back. That's
so
okay.
Sorry.
You're totally fine. One thing I did want to say is, or what I was talking about while you were off and we were waiting for you to get back, I just figured you got disconnected. It's no big deal. Gotta love technology. Is to think about where a client is before they come to you. So like, let's say you're a coach that trains people on how to run marathons. Well, then maybe follow 5K training plans or something like that and be commenting on those, because that's where a person is before they come to you probably, right? And that's where you could be engaging that person. Also think about maybe where do people go after you? So I know, for example, that people are always calling financial advisors when sometimes they need me, right? And so, I don't know too many financial advisors on our Instagram just for compliance reasons, but like if they are, that would be a good way to like engage with somebody who's maybe commenting and is like overwhelmed about the investment advice or whatever. And you can just comment and say, hey, it's okay. Or, helping them to find you through that way. And that's really what you're talking about, is the idea of, engaging in other people's feeds or comments, again, to interact with the goal of interacting and connecting, knowing that will likely, create a bridge there. And I do just want to say really quickly, we will post all about Jen's links to her Instagram. We will, share what those are. People are asking, and we will we will answer all of that. We'll provide links and everything, just so you guys know.
Great. So, thank you.
You're welcome. So, any thoughts on that, Jen? Anything else about the whole commenting thing? Okay.
I just realized too, I didn't look in the mirror. I had a nice little.
Oh, I didn't even notice. I didn't notice. I would have been the first to tell you. I didn't notice.
I think of it like you're at almost like a networking event. you're there to build the relationships in hopes that once things are really good, other people think of you when they need to make a referral. So like if we're talking about referral partners, you know, you can spend a little bit of time talking about what you do, but it's important to build that relationship. People want to work with other people that they like. And I know that we talk about, you know, it's not necessarily being likable. At the end of the day, you want someone to like what you're doing. That's how they get invested in it. But the relationship is so important, especially when it comes to money. And, you know, someone needs to know what they're stepping into. Like people interview other people all the time. Think of this like, it's almost like an interview. When you're up and people are reading your stuff. That's how people get to know you.
Interesting. Yeah. What about collaborating with others and as a way of building your following, I guess?
Yes. So we didn't talk, we didn't talk a lot about this earlier, but we touched a little bit on it. I love reposting other good content. And it's a win-win for me because I feel like it adds value to my followers. I feel like it either gives a boost to somebody who is trying to build their Instagram. So I love reposting people who have like minimal followers if they've posted something really great, because I know that I'll drive followers to them. But I also really love reposting people who have a presence in this space, because they'll see that I reposted them. They might come to my page. They might repost me at some point, or start following me, or start interacting with my content. And if they do, the algorithm will recognize that people who follow them might want to follow me. And so
got it. So it'll start showing up.
It's a goofy way that it all works together.
I think this video is a perfect example of how we do it in a space like Facebook, which is like, I'm going to interview you. And it's a win-win. Like, I don't know anything about Instagram except for how cute my kids are. So, and you are an expert. So it's a win-win. It makes my group better and more valuable. And like, people will come here as a great resource, right? And then it also will lead people to check out you and follow you and interact with you. And it's good for everybody to collaborate whenever you can, I think.
Yes, especially if you can find somebody else that's really good. It's something that maybe isn't your jam, isn't your area of expertise, because it shows that, hey, I might not be able to answer all your questions, but I can find somebody who can. So my job, like a million years ago before I had kids, was at a college, and I ran the orientation program for all the new first-year students and their families and transfer students and graduate students. And I always trained my staff. I had a staff of like 50 college kids. They were awesome. And I always told them, you don't have to have all the answers. You just need to know where to go for the answers. So I love bringing other people in, because it shows people that are following me like, I don't know the answer to that one. And I'm totally okay saying that. Yeah. But I have resources. I have people who, it's the same for us. I have an insurance agent referral, or I have a financial planner referral, or whatnot. So it shows that you have access to people they might need.
That's brilliant.
You're a resource.
Emily posted a great question. How do you repost on Instagram?
Okay, so it takes, there's an outside app. There are a ton of them.
I'm so glad you asked this question, Emily. I had no idea. So good. Let's hear it. There's an outside app. So
I think the app is just called Repost, but there are a whole bunch of them. If you go to the App Store and type in Repost Instagram, a whole bunch will pop up. And you basically, in Instagram, you click the three little dots, copy link, you go to the Repost app, you open it, and that post will appear in Repost. And then you have the option of watermarking it with their username, which if you're going to repost someone, always tag them and give them credit every single time.
Without fail. Thank you for saying that. Yes,
oh my
absolutely.
Gosh, yeah. There's nothing worse than seeing your work on somebody else's page and they didn't give you credit for it. And I've had it happen to me a lot.
Yeah.
And that is not a way to build goodwill with other people or with people that are following you. If you're not stealing.
And I think it comes down to like, if somebody reposted your stuff, you would want them to
absolutely,
give you credit, period, so just treat others like you want to be treated, so
absolutely.
Great question, Emily. Okay. So let me just see if there's anything else under building a following, empathizing with your followers. And you did talk about this, just like letting them know, not just like leaving them a feeling, but expand on this a little bit.
Yeah. So I know I've this has been woven into every other category we've talked about so far. But so many people have feelings attached to their money. It's why people don't just get out a calculator and fix their budget, because, and I talk about this a lot when I give presentations, it is not just math. Like, there's so much going on with money that has to do with feelings. And so number one, being able to identify what those feelings are, and that can help with content creation. Make a list of things that your ideal client might be feeling. And some of you, I've read some of them in the group, and it's frustration, or I'm intimidated, or, pick any of those things and then create content around that feeling. Not to make people feel worse about it, but to make people feel like, I understand this feeling and I can offer you a solution so that we can work on that feeling together.
Yeah, I love it.
That's a really big, being able to identify the things that people are feeling. Some of you are like, I've seen just in posts in the group, you specialize in couples, like, post about that. Hey, are you and your spouse on the same page about money? Here are 3 tips. Yeah. And by the way, if you want more, join my newsletter. You always want to give, you don't want everything to have to be in a newsletter. You want to give free advice or tips or whatever resources on the post, but then you also want, that's another part of inviting them in. Invite them in. Hey, here are a couple things you can do, and I have a whole lot more. I just can't talk about it here, but if you sign up for the newsletter, promise I won't spam you. I'll list a whole bunch of other ones in there too. Or here's my blog post or whatever.
I love it. All right, we are going to dive in to hashtags. I don't know why this sounds so like dramatic, but I guess because and so many people were asking questions about hashtags. And then talking with you, I was like, oh, this is a bit more complicated. Like, I will search, strength training or fitness or something, and it just shows up in my normal feed. But because of that, I can just tell you guys as a user, because of that, there are people that have shown up that I'm like, I always like what they're posting. And so now I follow them. Right?
Yeah.
So I think this is why hashtags are important, but I think that there is more of a science to it than that. Like, so some of the hashtags are, there's like 1 million posts under that same hashtag. And so what is the likelihood that this one person who uses the hashtag will show up for everybody? Does that make sense? And so I guess there's like this science behind it. So first of all, remind us, what is a hashtag?
Yeah, so a hashtag is the way, so you do the little hashtag mark, and then you write the word that you want to tag, and then people can either, if you missed earlier in our chat, there are really 3 main ways people use hashtags. One is a way to sort their own posts. So like I have for mine, Jen Plans Budgeting. Anyone can click it and see every post that I've ever made that has to do with budgeting. You can also use it to search hashtags. So like you would click the hashtag and then all the posts that have that hashtag would come up. Or you can follow them. That's another great way. And then third is it recognizes that someone else liked a post that had, hashtag debt-free journey in it. Your post, which also has that hashtag, might appear in the posts for you section. So
got it. I'm just gonna, because I know everyone loves my drawings, I'm so artistic, here's a hashtag. Okay, so for those of you, I know, right? So there's my little drawing. Okay, so and we do have some like people who are super brand new to like just social media in general. So I want to make sure we're honoring them and not confusing them. So so how do you research hashtags? So we're gonna kind of back up a second, because when you're first starting out, and then like later you might want to change it as you're building a following and that kind of thing. So we're gonna go over the journey of a hashtag, but how do you first decide, and you're researching for the first time, what hashtags do I use?
So there are a lot of different ways. And you could do any or all of them depending on how much thought you want to put into it. I did it a couple different ways. I thought about the things that I was talking about. So for me, it was budgeting, debt-free journey, debt-free AF, which I won't say. There might be kids around.
I love it. Great example, like debt-free AF. How did you know that was even a hashtag? So did you go to like search and you typed in debt-free, and then you can kind of see, it's going to show you a bunch of other ones that are similar to debt-free, right? Debt-free AF. Like I wouldn't have thought to use that, but it's brilliant.
I was looking, I was searching the debt-free hashtag. And like you said, when you type in debt-free, the list of like, it's kind of like when you Google and you type in like, what is and then you have like a whole bunch of suggestions.
Yeah.
Same thing happens on Instagram. So you type in like debt-free, and then it will say like debt-free community, debt-free journey, debt-free, whatever. I just looked at every single thing that was there and I saw debt-free AF.
Oh, that's brilliant. I love it.
It was perfect because those are the people who are being real. Like, you're not going to put that hashtag on your post if your stuff is not a real insight into your debt-free journey. And so
how many hashtags when you first start do you have, or what is there like a recommended number? I see some people's posts, right? And like, it's like 3 sentences of a content. And then it's like, 10 times the length of hashtags. Is that the right way to do it? Is that okay? Like, is that wrong? Right? What?
It depends. I think, so the max is 30. You can have 30 hashtags in a post. There have been several studies done, which at the end of the day, I know we talked a little bit about this earlier. I will maintain that it is 97% content, maybe not 97%, maybe like 85% content and then 15% strategy. So take this with a grain of salt. Like, doing this exact number of hashtags isn't going to be what explodes your Instagram. Sure. But if you want to optimize, the studies have shown that like around 11 hashtags is like the posts that get the most engagement. But the other thing is, Google how to format your Instagram posts, because what is difficult for like visual eyes to see is that like the 2 sentences and then a wall of hashtags, you kind of get lost in it. So I always do like my text and then I space out so that you can't, unless you say like, show me more.
Yeah.
People don't even need to see what hashtags I'm using. It's all for the back end of Instagram.
Got it.
So
okay.
I would say I think probably you should have at least, it's easy to have at least 5 to 10 that will always relate to what you're doing.
And is there like a shortcut to when every time you post, you have to like manually type all these hashtags, or is there a trick to this?
There's a trick. Okay, so good. And I think some people during this 21-day challenge have posted about text shortcuts. So I have an iPhone and in my like keyboard, I put in, I think the phrase that I chose was like IG budget, and then it fills in all my hashtags. So,
ooh, okay. So this is for iPhone. Android users, please tell me what that is, if it's similar or if there's something different. I don't know. Emily asks, when you see that list when you're searching, do you look for ones with lots of uses or fewer uses? So what's the rule of thumb?
If someone is searching by the hashtag, it's better to have less because you'll be more likely to appear in them. If it has more, it's just a faster moving feed.
Sure.
Unless you switch over, there's like recent posts and top posts. And if you go to top posts, it's going to be the ones with that hashtag that have the most engagement, regardless of when they were posted. If you go to recent posts, that is constantly updating. So if you have 1 million plus, posts with that tag, it's probably going to get buried. However, it doesn't mean you shouldn't use it, because the other several ways that people can find you are by algorithm, where they're showing your post because it has the same tag that had another post that someone else liked. And it's still your content. So I would say not to necessarily avoid them, but if you're looking to have your post show up in certain tags when people are searching, you'll probably want to find some with less. But
well,
again,
I think this is the same as like niching down, right? So really understanding so acutely like the hashtag that maybe your ideal client is searching for, and it may not be the most general hashtag. So that might be one where they're going to search and follow it, but when they're really out there looking to connect, they might be looking for something more catered to their need.
Exactly.
Yeah. Totally.
And especially depends on what stage they're in their journey. I mean, if you focus heavy on debt payoff, all your hashtags better have debt something in them. And if you're really focused on like, I don't know, building up your emergency fund or your retirement planning or your whatever, like those are the tags that you need to have that relate directly to the content that you're sharing.
And how often have you, Jen, first of all, how old is your Instagram?
I think it's about 5 years old.
Okay. How often have you changed the hashtags that you use? Is this something where like you have 10 that are the same all the time and you kind of have some that are changing, or is it like one time a year you go and overhaul all of them, or what's the strategy behind tweaking those?
So I have a core set of hashtags that I use, that I have text shortcuts for.
Got it.
And then as soon as those populate, I go in and either add to them if I need to add something, or I take something out if it's not applicable to that post. So I know that like every post I ever make in regards to budgeting is going to have Jen Flynn's budgeting. It's probably always going to have budget. It's probably always going to have like budget planning or something related to what I do. But then I want to change up the things that relate specifically to that post. And I know you and somebody asked about this. We talked a little bit about shadow banning, which is like a mystery of Instagram where they basically, it's one way that people can be, shadow banning is when your posts, even if they're tagged, don't come up in the hashtag feed. We talked a real little bit about it. And it's so technical that I think, as long as you're not being spammy, you're probably not going to be shadow banned.
Got it. I did not even know that was a thing. So
Yeah.
I think it's kind of like, with Facebook shutting down your group for a while or whatever, because they say you're inviting too many people to every single event you have, excuse me. And so, yeah, I mean, I think it's just something that we have to be conscious of how we're doing it, but hopefully those are some extreme
just don't
examples.
Be spammy. I mean, they can pick up if you're being spammy, and if you're not being spammy, you probably have nothing to worry about.
So somebody asked about hashtag groups, and is this like, okay, so you've got your 10 core, is that a hashtag group, or is this something different?
Yep, that's a hashtag group. There are also apps that can find hashtags for you. You can also go to other people who are even just on a budgeting journey, like not just, especially if you want to avoid other budget coaches, that might be a really good choice for you to avoid other budget coaches, but go to the people who are on the journey, because those people are on Instagram 100-fold. For every coach, there are probably, thousands of people that are there on the journey. Look at what posts, and tags they're using, because they're all using a specific set of tags, and you can start attaching your posts to theirs using those hashtags. So that's another way to find them.
I've said for years that I don't do Insta, like I don't do Instagram, but you are making me want to do it. Seriously, like you are making me want to just connect with other financial coaches and that kind of thing. So I'm curious how other people are feeling. Let me know. Emily says that she's an Android user, and this is a great idea. I don't know if this is the fastest way, but it's a great idea, Emily. She says she puts all of her hashtags in her notes app, and then she just copy and paste them from there and then add them to each post, which I think is brilliant, Emily. I don't know if there's a faster way for Android. Please share if you guys know, but I think that's a great idea for sure, Emily. Okay, so you had said somebody had asked, should I pay somebody to research hashtags for me? I'm like, that's a thing. Like, I did not know that was a service that existed.
It's funny because I see a question like that and I'm like, should I charge people to do this for me?
You're like, I've helped people with this and I didn't get charged.
Yeah, should do social media. It depends on here's my answer. Is it something you can do yourself? 100% yes. However, we are also in the business of things that people might be able to do themselves. And 100%. If it's not your thing where you feel great about it, find somebody else who's really good at it and pay them. If it's a better use of your time to be focusing on your business and then hiring out social media strategy, great. I will say don't overpay for it. You have to think about your return on investment, because there's, unfortunately, in this, I have a neighbor who started a home design business, and she brought me a proposal of a social media manager who was going to charge like $3,000 a month. I mean, my neighbor has like 10 followers. I'm like, please do not pay. And it was like, same thing, like research hashtag, make sure you're making an investment that will be a good ROI for you.
Absolutely.
There's nothing wrong with paying people. However, if you want to learn more about it, I'm self-taught. Like I like teaching myself and I want to know how it works. So it was something that I enjoyed doing. If it's something that you enjoy doing and you're interested and you want to learn more about it, you can totally do it yourself. Probably someone's not going to find something that you're not able to find. Very cool. There's nothing wrong with hiring somebody if it's reasonable, but I would really be careful with some of these prices that people are charging are very, very much higher than it's great. Maybe for someone who already has a business who's like really super active and they have a lot of users, already and followers, but if you're just starting out, the content is what's going to boom your Instagram account.
Oh no, I lost her again. Shoot.
Oh
There.
my
Oh, good. That was so fast. I was like, no. Okay. All right. So let's dive into any other thoughts on hashtags, Jen? Sorry, I had a little fuzzy in case you were wondering like what I'm doing.
Oh, I did write this down. We didn't talk about it, but I think this is so
Yeah,
important.
let's hear it.
Create at least one of your own hashtags. Create a hashtag for your business.
So smart. I'm going to write that down.
Yeah, create several. I mean, don't make them up just to make them up. But I had people who started asking, like, how can I find, like, I don't want to see your planner stuff. I don't want to see your recipes. I just want to see your budget stuff. And so I created a hashtag that was just Jen Plans Budgeting. And I went back and I put it on all my budget posts. And so now somebody can see all my budgeting. I did it for food too. Jen Plans Cooks and Jen Plans, whatever, home, for like all my home stuff. Create hashtags. They don't all have to be things that are already out there. Eventually, at some point, you can also ask your followers, like if you want to do a contest, hey, I'm giving away 3 months of free coaching. You just need to repost this image and use these hashtags. And then that will kind of, I don't think we have really time to get into like this, like building strategy, but that's a great way to do it, is run contests and have people repost you to give stuff away. Because it's a win for everybody. I mean, you might have to give away a free package or a free month or a free assessment or whatever. But you have other people posting you now and you have your hashtag out there. So create at least one hashtag that's specific to you that nobody else will use.
Great idea. Okay, so let's get into converting followers. So I'll just say that, you already talked about converting them to other places where they can go in deeper, whether that is your newsletter, converting them to your Facebook group where you can do more live videos, that kind of thing. Is there any other way that you use it to obtain clients?
So when I have my classes open, I don't run classes all the time. When my classes are open, I have the link to sign up in my bio.
Okay.
So you and I talked just a little bit about this and I mentioned it earlier. You need to remove barriers for people. So the goal eventually is that someone will see something you post, or it'll be the day that it clicks and they feel super motivated and they want to sign up. They have to know where to go. So if you're in a position where you want people to convert to become clients from your Instagram, which don't we all, there needs to be a flow. Like, think about it. Look at your Instagram account from the perspective of a prospective client. If you're looking at your page, do you know how to sign up? You could have in your bio, like, click the link to sign up. I mean, something as simple as that. And then you have a link for people to book a call, or it can be something even more simple. Book your free call at this link. I think you need to have a certain amount of followers to do a swipe up.
Okay.
In stories. So that might not be attainable for every single person yet until you build your thousands of followers. Like I know you all will.
Yeah.
But you can use the link in your bio. There are a couple different ways to do it. So Instagram only lets you do one live link, and it's the link in your bio. It's the one right before your feed starts.
Sure.
You can either do a direct link there, or you can use something like Linktree, which if you're not familiar with Linktree, it's one link that someone can click on and it posts a bunch of bubbles that can be like, sign up for the e-course, sign up for the newsletter, or go to my blog, go to my Facebook page, go to my whatever.
Linktree.
Which is so cool. Which is really cool. That's what I have right now. I'm I took my blog down and I'm revamping it and I'm going to be reposting it. And I'm switching mine to a blog link page because I don't want people to go to Linktree. I want people to come to my blog.
Yeah.
And I can replicate Linktree. I can do like a links page and have all my links, but then I'm driving traffic to my blog, which
that
is
makes
what I want.
Total sense. That's genius.
So,
yeah.
Where do you want people to go? And you want them to get there quickly. There's nothing that I really like. The call me so I can tell you more. Like I got 3 kids. I'm trying to, I've got a couple jobs. Like I don't have time to sit. I want to see it. Can you explain it to me in an infographic? Yeah. Hey, this is what we're going to do. Book your call here. That's what I need to see. So we need to remove barriers, like put the breadcrumbs there so people know where to go. And you should be able to tell, like if you pull up your own Instagram page and there's not a way for someone to sign up for your thing right away, that would be a change that I would suggest that you make, because people are going to want to hire you.
I love
but
it.
if there are barriers, there, you're going to lose someone at each barrier. And you don't want to lose people at a barrier. You want to take all the barriers away and make it so easy for someone to join you that when you're dropping all these invitations, they can't wait and they can do it right away.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm curious when I see like videos like what Mandy does and that kind of thing, and it's a video of her, but there's like wording on it, and there's like icons, or there's like clip art and that kind of thing. Okay,
yeah.
Stories. So are you like, you're editing all that on your phone and then you're just kind of sharing? It's not live, right?
So the way that Instagram stories work, so you record it like on your phone, you put it in selfie mode and you do your video, and then you can add text to it. Like you can go back and add text to it. You can link other accounts. You can link websites. You can tag locations. You can put like moving, like graphics.
Yeah,
up,
yeah.
And you do all that from within Instagram. Stories makes it so easy to do that.
And is this, it's Instagram app. It's not like an Instagram Stories app or anything separate. It's just all on Instagram.
It's within Instagram Stories. The other thing that I don't see people do a lot, which is such a good way, I think, to drive people to your post. I mean, like, you want everything to drive someone somewhere.
Yeah.
And so another way that you can utilize stories is post, like, you can copy the link to your post, add it to your story. So like the story, like someone will click on your story and you can write like, new post, here are my thoughts on, XYZ thing that you just posted about, and then click here. And if they click on it, then it'll take that person to your feed, and then you can see the post. So it'll just keep people on your page a little bit longer. And the more someone's on your profile, the more you'll start showing up in their feed.
Brilliant. Okay, cool. Let's see. Okay, so I'm going to go into like the miscellaneous section here. So we're almost done, you guys. We've been kind of answering questions as we go. So I feel like we're tackling things. So we've just got a few like miscellaneous type things. So can you have 2 different Instagram accounts on your phone at one time? So like if I want to have my personal one where I like spam my family with my kids, can I have like one that's more professional?
Yes, you can toggle between. So like you would log into both from the Instagram app, and then you'd go into your settings, and you could actually, I think you click on your username on top and it'll bring a drop down of all the accounts that you're signed into from your Instagram app.
Very cool. Okay. How do you know when the algorithm changes and what changes you need to make to optimize, to use the platform to reach new people? This was a question somebody asked.
Yeah, Instagram is such a goofy beast. And the problem is, and I think you and I talked about this, if I recall, if you start chasing the algorithm, by the time that you have it figured out, it will change again.
Yeah.
Instagram is also known for making changes, and then they get a lot of backlash, and then they change it back, or they make it a little bit different than what it is. So you'll notice, like if you have a pretty high level of engagement, you'll...
So sad. Okay, good.
Hi. I'm so sorry. I'm in the basement. Like all my kids are upstairs, like probably playing floor hockey and throwing like popcorn at each other. But that's okay.
That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. They're not dead. We're good. No.
That's right. Exactly. So you will notice, like I don't know if any of you who are on Instagram go into your insights, you can go on to insights and it will show you like how many views you had this week, how many people saved a particular post. Like I love something that is really like a way that I tried to figure out how to go, like which direction to go in with my content, as I noticed people were saving any post that I made that showed my actual budget and like my planning system. People would save in like crazy high numbers. So I knew, okay, like people like seeing that. I'm not going out of my way. I'm just showing more of what I'm already doing in that area. So it's not creating any more work for me. I'm just sharing different things than I was sharing before, because now I know that people like it. So I think you have to look at your insights. And if you have a sudden drop in views, or in likes, or in conversations with people, probably the algorithm has changed a little bit. And if that happens, this is what I do. It's totally not scientific. There's probably a better way to do it, but I Google like Instagram algorithm change.
Yeah, no, I think that's absolutely. There is somebody so much smarter than me tracking this stuff. Like I mean, there's somebody that's like, okay, Facebook changed something. Make sure you fix this, or there's this new setting on Facebook all of a sudden that like make sure you use it. And I mean, there's people that I think are out there like it's their job to stay on top of it. Our job is to interact with our ideal client, and we'll let them tackle that, you know?
Yes, exactly. I Google and YouTube everything. That's why stuff like this, like I could sit through and tell you how to format a post, but it's so much easier to point you in the direction of some blog post that did it really well, that has already created the content. That's a better use of everybody's time. So
absolutely.
Yeah, if you'll notice, because you'll see a drop in your engagement if the algorithm changes, and it doesn't happen that often that it's that significant of a change, but it definitely happens. Or when Instagram crashes and you can't post anything, you can't see other people's posts, that is always a huge pain too. But yeah, I mean, you should be able to figure out when it happens. Just keep pumping out the content that is good content, and it will build back up.
Got it. Okay, so I would like for you to share, this is the last thing, sort of your process. So a day in the life of Jen with her Instagram feed. So like, what do you do first? And like really tactical, practical, like you use your phone, or like what exactly are you doing? Walk everybody through that.
Yeah. So first, I think it's really important to have a workflow. If you don't have a workflow, take a few minutes. This is like one of those, it's not going to make or break you. It's just going to make your life easier. Same thing with content. Like some of these things are not strategies to help your Instagram be better. It's to help you be better at doing the Instagram. Yeah. So take time to build out a workflow. And so if you know, like I know that if I, for example, and I'll get to Instagram in a second because I know it's what you asked about, but it's for me, like if I post a video on YouTube, I know that my workflow, basically it's, you know, not literally, but it was until it became habit. I had a checklist in front of me, and it was like, okay, I posted my YouTube video. I posted a picture of it on my Instagram feed. Then, you know, later in the day, I did stories about it so that people could go there and see it there. And then I posted it on my Facebook page, and then I posted it in my Facebook group. So I have kind of a workflow that I don't have to think every time, like, okay, where should I post it? And, you know, I should share it somewhere else. And do you think this one I should share here? So when it comes to Instagram, like we said in the beginning, I'm very organic, and I plan almost nothing out on Instagram. I do every single thing from my phone, except sometimes I answer comments from my laptop. Oh, sure. But almost everything out is from my phone. And I usually like to share things that I'm doing. Or if I read something that's really like, it just hits me the right way, I'll take a screenshot of it and I'll edit it and I'll post that. So it's pretty real time for me. I am a mom. I have 3 small, and they're not really small anyway. I keep saying they're small. They're 5, 7, and 9.
Oh, yeah, they're small.
They're not really that. They're kind of small.
They're middle size.
You know, they're middle size. They're like medium. So, you know, they see that I'm home and they kind of understand I'm working, but they kind of don't. So I don't want to spend like my whole life just staring at my phone, even though that's what I do for work. They get it, but they don't always get it. So I try to limit, like I post everything as quickly as I can. I always make sure I use hashtags most of the time. And I look at my feed and I think like, ooh, do I have too much of one thing lately? Do I need to share something else? And I just share other things that I'm already doing. I thought a lot about this in preparation for our talk. If I had a straight business page where it wasn't sharing parts of my life, I would want to make sure that it was balanced, and that I was being distinctive, that I was adding some kind of value in some way. It doesn't have to be always educating them on something. It could also be making them feel a certain way, which we talked about, and just making sure that things are balanced. So if somebody came to my page, like if you go to your page and you don't even want to follow yourself, make some adjustments. Like you should want to follow yourself. You should be sharing things that you would want to see, because when we start creating stuff for other people, it doesn't feel organic. For sure. Kind of like if you sell a product, like sell a product that you would use. Like the best innovation has come from people who solved a problem.
They have.
Think about problems. Yeah. Think about what is the problem that you're solving. That's what we should be talking more about. So there should, hi. Okay. Please go upstairs. Sorry.
That's okay. And so how like on the day so there are days where you don't post anything, which I think a lot of people were so glad to hear that. And then there are days where you like post a lot of, And I think this is where people should just go to your Instagram and see the types of things you're doing to see like what you're talking about. Because like you're going to update your budget and then you're going to share maybe a picture of it, or the process of like the how-to, maybe the snapshot of like, here's the start, here's the middle, here's the end sort of thing. So,
yes.
I mean,
the other thing that you can do and what I do, which helps a lot, is I take pictures of things throughout my day, and I don't always like stop everything and post it. Like that will eat into your day and you'll spend your whole life doing Instagram. So I take pictures if I'm working on my budget, and then I'm working on, cleaning out my kids' playroom or whatever, an organization project, and I'm prepping for dinner and I'm getting like all the fruits and vegetables washed and prepped. I know each of those things are things that I want to share at some point, but I take all the pictures, and then at the end of the day, after my kids go to bed or in the morning, if I'm up before they are, I flesh out my posts. And you can save drafts. They're not really the same as scheduled, but you probably could schedule. I've never scheduled a post, so I'm sure there are fancy ways to do it with different apps and stuff, but I don't. You certainly could, but I save things as drafts, and then I can post them either when I feel like it or all at once, or I can scatter them throughout the day. So I'm not spending all day like, hold on and sometimes I do. Sometimes I'm like, husband, can you please just take the picture? I'm going to hold it this way. Yeah. But you can take pictures of things that you're doing throughout the day, if that's something that you want to share, or create, like you said in the beginning, create 10 posts on Canva and save them all, write all your stuff at once. And then you can decide like, okay, I'm going to share one of these a day. So you're not sitting down every day thinking, okay, I should share something today. What should I talk about?
Yeah. I think one thing that like Mandy does really well, because I think it's hard to say, like, how do I put a client's journey as visual? And, maybe not every client wants a picture taken of like, I just paid off my 4th credit card. You know, like they don't always want to like blast that. But she'll take a picture of herself and she'll say, I just helped somebody do X, Y, and Z. Right. So it is a picture of her, but it is more about the client. So it's like the story behind it. And then it's, so it can be visually like appealing in that way. And then also I think you do that really well too. Like you are just sharing your life in pictures, but then putting the layer on top of it, which is like the financial budgeting side of things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you have to think too, I mean, if you decide to share pictures of yourself, which of course helps someone connect with you as a person and not just as a business, make sure that you're pairing that. Like if someone goes to your wall and all they see is 2 or 3 pictures are just you.
Yeah, for sure.
What's gonna make them want to click? Because if you have really good content, there still needs to be a visual. You can overlay your pictures. If you take a picture of yourself, you can overlay with text. You can even create it. That's what I love.
Thank you for clarifying that, because that's what Mandy I think does really well. Is like she's got an overlay of text right on it, so you know what it is. Yeah, that's good. Yes.
And it's so, once you start doing it, it's so easy to do. For me, in the beginning, I thought that I was like, oh, this is time consuming, and I'm not very tech savvy. But you can take your pictures in Instagram and create the image in stories, even with the text, and then save the picture and post it to your wall. You don't have to post it in stories. So there are easy ways to do it within the app that make it quick, so that you're not spending like 20 minutes on a post.
That's good to
trying
know.
to edit it here and then save it to your computer and then sync it to your phone. And then like, that's an easy way to hate doing Instagram, is if you feel like it's a ton of work every time.
Well, and I feel like you have such a fresh perspective on it, because I feel like every person I've ever talked to about Instagram describes it as so much work and so time consuming. And I feel like that's where my block has always come from, which is like, why? Like, I do not get why I would want to put in all that effort. But you have just this really organic, it's almost seamlessly like into your life in a lot of ways, which I think is really cool. And a lot of great tips and shortcuts and efficiency tools and hacks and all of that. So thank you for sharing all of those. Yeah. The ending question that we got was, so is Instagram worth the time? And what's your answer on that? I mean, for you, you're like, well, yeah, for me, it's great. So
for me, it is. It's so dependent on you. It can be. I thought one of my kids was by me. It certainly can be. If you feel like this is something that you're excited about and you want to try, 100% it can be. But don't feel like it has to be, because you don't want to do something that you feel like isn't you. You're not going to be excited about it. It's going to translate to the people who are reading your posts. And if you don't have something really great to share, and don't put pressure on yourself, like every single post needs to be great, or I shouldn't share it. that's too much pressure.
Well, I think one of the things I hear all the time is like you post something, and right when you post it, you have to be on your feed, commenting back and forth with people and interacting with them like right then. Like you can't wait. But I feel like that's not what you do at all. Like, I mean, there are times when you do that, I'm sure, but you're not like putting that pressure on yourself that it's like, we got to be on it, man, you know?
I don't want it to take over my life. I want it to be a part of my life. And I have found for me that it's a really quick and easy way.
Yeah.
Some people find that on Facebook, and some people are like super engaged in their group. I used to be that way with my group. I've really neglected my group. That's something that is on my list to work on later.
Sure.
But I used to be just as active in my group. It's the same anywhere. If you feel really comfortable in a place, you're going to start using it more. And so it's so important just to think, you know, do I have things that I can share here that other people would want to see? And at the end of the day, my advice would be like, this is supposed to be your personality. And yes, a business can have a personality.
Absolutely.
You want people to know what you're like and what it would feel like to work with you. Think about what you're most passionate about and what you're most excited about and what you're best at. Like, what are you really good at? Because we all of us in this group, I can tell just from reading the posts, we all have areas where we're like, we're
100%.
really good at that one thing. And we might be good at, you know, like the whole big picture, but I'm most excited about this one thing. Yeah. Focus on that for a while until you get into your groove.
Yeah. And so Mandy says, it's hard to share their photos of their wins. So I will usually just share me really excited for what a client has just achieved. And I think that's the difference. It's not like a still photo. And it's like her excited, or it's like the boomerang photo. What looks like she's dancing. And I do feel like the thread that I'm hearing between you guys, because I would say that you're both like really good at it, is the emotion that you are eliciting from somebody. So like you are getting them to like take this leap, want to do better, show them that it is possible, the hope behind it. She's showing the excitement of like the transformation that can come and all of that. And like you guys are using it to elicit an emotion, which I think is brilliant. Like I've never thought about it in that way. Like I just thought it was an image, but yeah, you're in it. Or I thought it was inspiration, but it's even bigger than inspiration, I would say.
It is. And to what she's doing, don't we all want to feel like someone's cheering for us?
Totally.
Like, don't we all want to feel like someone else is proud of us and someone else is excited about what we've been able to do?
Yeah.
Sharing those feelings. And it's a great contrast because her feed and my feed are totally, it's a different style,
Very
but
different.
It's us. Like, it's still us. Like,
so you guys, I love it.
We're sharing our personalities. And so that's why it was so important in the beginning. I was like, oh man, I don't want someone to look at my feed and think like, I don't want mine to look like that. That's fine.
Yeah.
Yours shouldn't look like mine. Like none of ours should look like each other's. But they should look, you should be able to look at someone's feed and know what their personality is. And so you go to her page and you know, this is a coach that's going to like, she's invested. She wants to be excited about what her people are doing. And that's important to her. Like it makes you want to connect with someone like 100%. That.
So share as we wrap up here, Jen, share your Instagram feed again. So how do people find you on Instagram?
Yeah. So I am at, so if you were in Instagram, you would type in Jen, Jen _ plans, PLANS.
Okay. Jen plans.
Yep.
With an underscore. And then you have YouTube, which I did not know that. So tell everybody what your YouTube is.
So my YouTube channel is very heavy on planning and not quite like there is some budget and money stuff there. But that is just Jen plans, one word, Jen plans.
Got it. Cool. And one thing that I want to say is if you guys have questions as you're listening to this video, even if you're catching the replay later, please leave your questions here in the video as a public comment. One thing I do not want to have happen is where Jen totally starts getting a lot of private messages with the same question, which could easily happen. We have had like 25 people checking out this live video the whole time that we've been on, which is awesome. We're at 15 right now. And really the benefit of being in a group is that you can ask a question and it can be for the benefit of others, or somebody can ask a question and you had the same question and we don't have to have Jen answer the same question 17 times. So please, for the benefit of all of us, you will totally get an answer. Jen's happy to answer you. She's probably happy to answer your private messages, but I am going to ask you not to do that to her.
Thank you.
We have like 2,700 people in this group, so I do not want you to get like inundated with Instagram questions. You do have a family. You have businesses that you need to run, and helping other people like grow their Instagram feed one-on-one is not like your area of expertise, right? So
thinking about adding it now.
Yeah, right? Like you might need to. Yeah. So please leave the comments, because that way we can all learn, and she's happy to answer your questions. But thank you so much, Jen, for sharing your secrets. This was so helpful. Seriously, it was so good. I'm excited to try it. I don't know that I will, but we'll see. But and if anybody wants to share their Instagram feeds as a comment in here so that we can all like check each other out, let's do that too. But thank you so much, Jen. I really appreciate you taking the time.
Thanks.
You're welcome. All right.
It's so much fun. I hope that was helpful to people.
I think it was amazing. Let me go ahead and end the live video. Bye, everybody.
Bye.